For thousands of years, the Galactic Empire ruled the stars. They thought they knew everything about space travel. But they were wrong. On a normal day in the Empire's capital, alarms started blaring. The huge screens in the control room lit up with strange signals. Thor, the head of space monitoring, rushed to his station. His tentacles flew over the controls as he tried to make sense of the data. "What's happening?" Emperor Zix demanded, his 7 eyes blinking rapidly. Thor's voice trembled as he replied, "Your Highness, we've detected a new space-faring species. They just entered our territory." The room fell silent. It had been centuries since a new species joined the galactic community. "Show me," the Emperor ordered. A hologram appeared in the center of the room. It showed a small blue-green planet orbiting an average yellow star. "Earth," Thor said, "home to a species called humans." The Emperor leaned forward, intrigued. "What do we know about them?" "Not much, Your Highness. They've only recently achieved space travel. Our long-range scans show they're still using primitive chemical rockets." Just then, another alarm sounded. A small ship appeared on the screen, approaching one of the Empire's outer stations. "Impossible," Thor exclaimed. "They shouldn't have the technology to reach our borders." The Emperor's eyes narrowed. "Bring them in. I want to meet these humans." Hours later, in the grand reception hall, the first human delegation stood before the Emperor. They looked strange to alien eyes. Only 2 arms, 2 legs, and a round head with 2 eyes. "Welcome to the Galactic Empire," Emperor Zix said through a translator. "We are surprised by your arrival." The lead human, a woman named Dr. Sarah Chen, stepped forward. "Thank you, Your Highness. We come in peace and friendship." The Emperor's curiosity got the better of him. "Tell me, how did you reach us so quickly?" "Our data shows your species has not yet mastered faster-than-light travel." Dr. Chen smiled. "You're right, we haven't. Not yet, anyway. We used a series of gravitational slingshots and ion drives to boost our speed. It took us years to get here." Murmurs filled the hall. The aliens were impressed by human ingenuity. "Fascinating," the Emperor said. "But surely you understand the limitations of such travel. True interstellar exploration requires FTL capability." "We're working on it," Dr. Chen replied confidently. "Our scientists have several promising theories." Thor scoffed. "Theories? We've had FTL travel for millennia. It took our brightest minds centuries to perfect it." The human delegation exchanged glances. Dr. Chen raised an eyebrow. "Centuries? That seems inefficient." The alien officials bristled at her words. The Emperor, however, was amused. These humans were bold. "You think you could do better?" he asked, a challenge in his voice. Dr. Chen conferred briefly with her team. Then she turned back to the Emperor, her eyes shining with determination. "Give us 1 week," she said. "If we can't crack FTL travel by then, we'll admit defeat and ask to learn from you." The hall erupted in laughter. Even the Emperor chuckled. 1 week to solve what took us centuries. Impossible. But Dr. Chen stood her ground. "We work well under pressure. Besides, we have something you didn't have back then." "And what's that?" the Emperor asked. "The knowledge that it's possible," she replied. "Sometimes that's all we need." The Emperor considered for a moment. Then he smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. "Very well. 1 week it is. If you succeed, you'll earn a place of honor in our empire. If you fail," he left the threat hanging. Dr. Chen nodded. "We accept your challenge." As the human delegation left to prepare, Thor approached the Emperor. "Your Highness, surely you don't believe they can do it." The Emperor watched the humans leave, a thoughtful expression on his face. "Probably not. But they've already surprised us once. Let's see what else these humans can do." Little did the Empire know, they had just set in motion a series of events that would change the galaxy forever. The clock was ticking, and humanity was about to show the universe what they were truly capable of. News of the Emperor's challenge spread quickly across Earth. Scientists from every corner of the planet dropped what they were doing and rushed to join the effort. The world had never seen such unity and purpose. In a hastily assembled command center in Geneva, Dr. Sarah Chen addressed a room full of the brightest minds on Earth. "We have 7 days to achieve what the aliens took centuries to do," she said, her voice firm. "But remember, we have one advantage they didn't. We know it's possible." The room buzzed with excitement and determination. Whiteboards filled up with equations. Computer simulations ran nonstop. Coffee flowed like water. Meanwhile, in space, the Empire watched with amusement. They had given the humans a small station to work from, mostly as a gesture of goodwill. No one really expected them to succeed. Grakthor, the alien scientist, visited the human station on the second day. He was curious about these strange creatures and their methods. "How are you progressing?" he asked Dr. Chen, his tentacles waving in what he hoped was a friendly manner. Dr. Chen smiled tiredly. "We're making progress, but there's still a long way to go." Grakthor looked at the humans' work. His eyes widened. This is not how we approach FTL travel at all." "Really?" Dr. Chen perked up. "How do you do it?" Grakthor hesitated. He wasn't supposed to help, but his scientific curiosity got the better of him. "Well, we use quantum tunneling to create wormholes." As he explained, the humans listened intently, asking questions that Grakthor found surprisingly insightful. He left the station feeling both impressed and slightly worried. Back on Earth, teams worked around the clock. In Mumbai, a group of physicists had a breakthrough in quantum entanglement. In Rio de Janeiro, engineers developed a new type of exotic matter. In Tokyo, computer scientists created an AI to help calculate impossible equations. But as the third day dawned, they were still far from a solution. "We need to think differently," said Dr. Yuki Tanaka, a young physicist from Japan. "We're still thinking like earthbound humans. We need to think like creatures of the cosmos." Her words sparked a new round of brainstorming. Ideas that seemed crazy yesterday were now considered seriously. Nothing was off the table. On the fourth day, a team in Kenya made a crucial discovery about the nature of space-time. They shared their findings, and suddenly, pieces started falling into place. In the Empire's capital, Emperor Zix received daily reports on the humans' progress. At first, he had been amused. Now he was starting to feel uneasy. "They're advancing much faster than we anticipated," his advisor said. The Emperor frowned. "It's still impossible. No species could solve FTL travel in a week." But doubt had crept into his voice. Back on the human station, excitement was building. They were close to something big. They could feel it. Dr. Chen hadn't slept in days, but her eyes were bright with excitement. "We're onto something here," she told her team. "It's not just about moving faster than light. It's about bending space itself." As she spoke, alarms began blaring on the Empire's monitoring stations. Grakthor rushed to check the readings. "Impossible," he whispered. But the data didn't lie. The humans were generating energy levels that shouldn't be possible with their technology. In Geneva, cheers erupted as his simulation finally ran successfully. They had a working theory. Now they just needed to build it. As the fifth day began, the galaxy watched in astonishment. The impossible was becoming possible. The humans weren't just rising to the challenge. They were rewriting the rules of the game. Emperor Zix stared at the latest reports, his 7 eyes blinking rapidly. "What have we unleashed?" he wondered aloud. Little did he know, the real shock was yet to come. As the humans raced against time, they were about to make a discovery that would change the face of the galaxy forever. The clock was ticking, and the greatest revolution in space travel history was about to unfold. As the 6th day dawned, tension on the human space station was at an all-time high. They had a working theory, but turning it into reality was proving harder than anyone had imagined. Dr. Sarah Chen hadn't slept in 48 hours. Her eyes were red-rimmed, but determination burned bright in them. "We're close," she told her team. "I can feel it." Meanwhile, on Earth, billions watched and waited. The challenge had united humanity like never before. Even old enemies worked together, sharing resources and knowledge. In a small lab in Moscow, Dr. Alexei Volkov stared at his computer screen, scratching his beard. Something wasn't right with the equations. He'd been over them 100 times, but suddenly his eyes widened. "Bože moi," he whispered. "It can't be that simple." His fingers flew over the keyboard as he refined his calculations. Then he grabbed his phone. "Get me Dr. Chen," he said urgently. "I think I've found something." On the space station, Dr. Chen listened intently as Dr. Volkov explained his discovery. Her tired face broke into a wide smile. "Alexei, you're a genius," she exclaimed. "This could be the key we've been missing." Word spread quickly. Scientists around the world dropped everything to verify Volkov's calculations. Within hours, confirmation came pouring in. They had cracked a fundamental problem in quantum mechanics that had stumped scientists for decades. But they weren't out of the woods yet. They still had to build a working prototype. "We need more power," Dr. Yuki Tanaka said, frowning at the schematics. "Our current setup can't generate the energy levels we need." Just then, an alert came in. A message from an unexpected source: the aliens. Grakthor, the Empire's scientist who had visited earlier, had been watching the humans' progress with growing amazement. Against his better judgment, he decided to help. "Your power generation methods are inefficient," his message read. "Try using crystalline fusion. It's safer and more powerful than your current methods." The human scientists were stunned. This was a clear violation of the Empire's rules. But they didn't have time to question it. They immediately set to work incorporating Grakthor's suggestion. As the 7th day began, anticipation reached fever pitch. In the Empire's capital, Emperor Zix paced nervously. He had never imagined the humans might actually succeed. "Your Highness," an advisor said hesitantly, "perhaps we should consider the implications if the humans actually achieve FTL travel." The Emperor's 7 eyes blinked rapidly. He hadn't allowed himself to consider that possibility. "Impossible," he muttered, but his voice lacked conviction. Back on the space station, final preparations were underway. They had built a small probe, barely larger than a soccer ball. If their calculations were correct, it would make the first human-engineered faster-than-light jump. Dr. Chen took a deep breath as she initiated the launch sequence. The whole station held its breath. On Earth, billions watched their screens, hardly daring to hope. The probe's engines fired up. Strange energies swirled around it. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, in a flash of light that momentarily blinded every sensor, the probe vanished. Silence fell. Had it worked? Or had they just witnessed a very expensive failure? Long seconds ticked by. The silence stretched, becoming unbearable. Then suddenly, alarms blared. But these weren't alarms of failure. These were alarms of success. "We're receiving a signal," shouted one of the technicians. "It's the probe. It's in the Andromeda Galaxy." The station erupted in cheers. On Earth, celebrations broke out in every city, every town, every village. Humanity had done it. They had achieved faster-than-light travel. In the Empire's capital, the news hit like a shockwave. Emperor Zix stared at the report in disbelief. "Impossible," he whispered. But the evidence was undeniable. The humans hadn't just succeeded. They had revolutionized FTL travel. Their method was faster, more efficient, and more powerful than anything the Empire had ever seen. As the implications sank in, one thing became clear. The balance of power in the galaxy had just shifted dramatically. And at the center of it all stood humanity, ready to take their place among the stars. The greatest adventure in human history was about to begin. The news of humanity's success spread across the galaxy faster than their FTL probe. Within hours, every species in the Galactic Empire knew the newcomers had done the impossible. On Earth, celebrations continued for days. Streets were filled with joyous crowds, waving flags and cheering. It was a moment of unity unlike anything in human history. But in the quiet rooms of power, leaders grappled with a new reality. Humanity was now a major player in galactic politics, whether they were ready or not. In the White House, the U.S. President addressed her advisors. "We need to think carefully about our next steps," she said. "This changes everything." Similar meetings were happening in Beijing, Moscow, New Delhi, and every other capital. For once, national rivalries were set aside. They all understood the enormity of what lay ahead. Meanwhile, on the human space station, Dr. Sarah Chen and her team were still in shock. They had done it, but the implications were only starting to sink in. "We've opened a door," Dr. Chen said, looking out at the stars. "But we don't know what's on the other side." Just then, a message came through. The Emperor himself wanted to speak with the human leaders. In a hastily arranged video conference, Emperor Zix addressed the United Nations Security Council. His 7 eyes blinked nervously as he spoke. "Congratulations on your unexpected success," he said. "The Empire formally invites Earth to join the Galactic Council." The human leaders exchanged glances. This was moving faster than anyone had anticipated. "We're honored," the UN Secretary-General replied cautiously, "but we'll need time to consider this invitation." The Emperor's tentacles twitched in what might have been annoyance. "Of course," he said, "but be aware. Others in the galaxy will be very interested in your new technology. It would be safer for you under the Empire's protection." After the call ended, heated debates broke out among the human leaders. Some wanted to join the Empire immediately, seeing it as the safest option. Others were wary, arguing for independence. As the arguments raged, Dr. Chen and her team made another discovery. They had been analyzing the data from their FTL jump. "You're not going to believe this," Dr. Yuki Tanaka said, her eyes wide with excitement. "Our method doesn't just make FTL travel possible. It makes it safe for organic life." This was revolutionary. The Empire's FTL technology required complex shielding to protect living beings. But the human method somehow bypassed this problem entirely. As this news spread, the galaxy's reaction shifted from amazement to alarm. The Empire wasn't just facing a new member species. They were facing a potential rival. In the Imperial Palace, Emperor Zix was in crisis mode. "We need that technology," he told his advisors, "by any means necessary." But the Emperor wasn't the only one with his eyes on Earth. In the shadowy corners of the galaxy, other powers were making plans. The Confederation, a loose alliance of worlds that opposed the Empire, saw an opportunity. If they could ally with Earth, it could shift the balance of power. Even some within the Empire itself saw a chance for change. Grak Thor, the scientist who had helped the humans, was summoned before the Emperor. "You aided them," Zix accused. "Why?" Grak Thor stood tall, his tentacles steady. "Because progress shouldn't be held back by politics," he said. "The humans remind us of what we once were: curious, innovative, unafraid." As Grak Thor was led away to face punishment, murmurs of support followed him. Not everyone in the Empire was happy with the status quo. Back on Earth, humanity faced a choice. They had the stars within their grasp, but reaching for them would forever change their world. In Geneva, Dr. Chen addressed the UN. "We stand at a crossroads," she said. "We can join the galactic community as we are, or we can lead it to where it needs to be." As her words echoed around the world, humans everywhere considered their future. They had proven they could achieve the impossible. Now they had to decide what to do with that power. The next move was theirs, and the entire galaxy held its breath, waiting to see what these surprising newcomers would do next. As Earth grappled with its newfound power, the galaxy watched and waited. The human leaders had gathered in a secret location to make their decision. The fate of humanity hung in the balance. Dr. Sarah Chen paced nervously outside the meeting room. As the scientist who led the FTL breakthrough, she had been asked to advise the world leaders. But the final choice wasn't hers to make. Inside the room, arguments flew back and forth. Some leaders pushed for joining the Empire, seeing it as the safest path. Others argued for independence, unwilling to bow to alien rule. "We can't trust the Empire," the Russian president said firmly. "They've already tried to steal our technology." "But can we protect ourselves without their help?" The Japanese prime minister countered. "We're new to this galactic stage." As they debated, a message arrived from an unexpected source. The Confederation, the Empire's rival, had sent an offer of alliance. "This changes everything," the U.S. president said, reading the message. "We have options now." Meanwhile, in the depths of space, other forces were moving. A group of rogue aliens, outcasts from various species, had heard about Earth's achievement. They saw an opportunity. Led by a cunning Zorkian named Quiznak, they plotted to steal the human FTL technology. With this, Quiznak told his crew, "We could rule the galaxy." Their ship, hidden by advanced cloaking technology, approached Earth undetected. Back on Earth, Dr. Yuki Tanaka made another startling discovery. She burst into the leaders' meeting, her eyes wide with excitement. "Our FTL drive," she said breathlessly. "It doesn't just move ships through space. It can move entire planets." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. With this technology, humanity could explore the galaxy without leaving Earth behind. They could escape any threat by simply moving their home. As the leaders absorbed this news, alarms suddenly blared. Earth's new defense systems, hastily set up after the FTL breakthrough, had detected an intruder. Quiznak's ship had been spotted. The rogue aliens, realizing they were detected, launched a desperate attack. In orbit, a brief but fierce battle erupted. Earth's defenses, enhanced by their new technology, easily repelled the attack. Quiznak's ship crash-landed in the Sahara Desert. This attack made Earth's choice clear. They couldn't remain neutral in galactic affairs. They needed allies, but they also needed to maintain their independence. After hours of intense discussion, the human leaders emerged with a decision. Dr. Chen held her breath as they prepared to announce it to the world. The UN Secretary-General stepped up to the podium, cameras from every nation trained on her. "People of Earth," she began, "today we choose our path among the stars." She took a deep breath before continuing. "We will not join the Empire, nor will we ally exclusively with the Confederation. Instead, we choose a third path. Earth will lead the formation of a new galactic alliance, one based on mutual respect, shared knowledge, and collective progress." The announcement sent shockwaves through the galaxy. The Empire was stunned. The Confederation was intrigued. And across countless worlds, oppressed species saw a glimmer of hope. Emperor Zix, watching the broadcast, felt a mix of anger and fear. They dare to challenge the order of the galaxy, he raged. But many in his own empire saw things differently. Grak Thor, released from punishment due to popular demand, smiled as he watched. "The humans have chosen wisdom over power," he said. "Perhaps they will teach us all something." On Earth, preparations began immediately. The crashed alien ship was studied, revealing new technologies. The FTL drives were refined and improved, and diplomatic missions were prepared to reach out to other worlds. Dr. Chen, looking out at the stars from the space station, felt a sense of pride and nervousness. "We've taken our first steps into a larger world," she said to Dr. Tanaka. "I hope we're ready for what comes next." As humanity prepared to reshape the galaxy, the greatest adventure in their history was about to unfold. The stars, once distant and unreachable, now beckoned, and Earth, the little blue planet that could, was ready to answer the call. In the weeks following Earth's announcement, the galaxy buzzed with activity. Humans, once ignored by the cosmos, were now at the center of a galactic storm. Dr. Sarah Chen found herself on a spaceship, something she had only dreamed of a month ago. She was part of Earth's first diplomatic mission, headed to a neutral space station for talks with other species. "I never thought I'd be an ambassador," she said to Dr. Yuki Tanaka, who sat beside her. Yuki grinned. "Well, I never thought I'd be flying faster than light. Look how that turned out." As their ship approached the station, they saw dozens of alien vessels. Some were sleek and beautiful, others looked like floating mountains. Earth's ship, a rush job using their new technology, looked plain in comparison. Inside the station, representatives from 100 worlds waited. Some were excited, others suspicious. All were curious about these humans who had achieved so much so quickly. The Earth delegation entered the main hall. Aliens of all shapes and sizes turned to look. Some had tentacles, others had wings. One species looked like walking crystals. Dr. Chen took a deep breath and stepped forward. "Greetings," she said, her words translated by advanced software. "We come seeking friendship and cooperation." For hours, they talked. The humans shared their vision of a new galactic alliance. Many listened with interest. Some, especially those from worlds oppressed by the Empire, were eager to join. But not everyone was convinced. An ambassador from a warlike species called the Krex stood up. "Why should we trust you?" he growled. "You're newcomers. You know nothing of galactic politics." Dr. Chen was about to respond when alarms blared. On the main screen, a massive fleet appeared. Imperial ships, hundreds of them, were approaching the station. Panic erupted in the hall. Many feared the Empire had come to attack. But then a message came through. It was Emperor Zix himself. "I come in peace," the Emperor said, his 7 eyes blinking rapidly. "I wish to negotiate." The human diplomats exchanged glances. This was unexpected. They huddled for a quick discussion. Then Dr. Chen stepped forward again. "We welcome the opportunity for peaceful dialogue," she said carefully. Hours later, in a private meeting room, Emperor Zix faced the human delegation. Gone was his usual arrogance. He looked tired. "Your actions have sparked unrest across the Empire," he said. "Many worlds are inspired by your example. They demand change." Dr. Chen listened carefully. She could sense an opportunity. "Perhaps change is needed," she suggested gently. "A new way of governing the galaxy, one that respects all species." The Emperor's tentacles twitched. "And what role do you see for the Empire in this new order?" "A crucial one," Dr. Chen replied. "Your experience, your resources, they're vital. But as partners, not rulers." As they talked, a plan began to form. A new galactic alliance, with Earth and the reformed Empire at its core. Other species would join as equals. Knowledge would be shared, not hoarded. Meanwhile, in the main hall, something remarkable was happening. As news of the human empire talks spread, old enemies began to speak to each other. Species that had been at war for centuries found common ground in their hope for a better future. Grakthor, who had come with the Imperial fleet, watched in amazement. "The humans have done in days what we couldn't do in millennia," he marveled. "They united the galaxy." As the talks concluded, Dr. Chen and Emperor Zix emerged together. The hall fell silent, waiting. "Today," Dr. Chen announced, "we take the first step towards a new era. An era of cooperation, of shared progress, of peace." Emperor Zix nodded. "The Empire will change," he said. "We will be part of this new alliance, as equals." A cheer went up, rippling across the station, and out to the watching galaxy. It wasn't just a new alliance being born, it was a new age. As the celebrations began, Dr. Chen looked out at the stars. The galaxy, once vast and threatening, now seemed full of promise. Humanity had not just reached for the stars. They had changed them. And this, she knew, was only the beginning. 1 year had passed since the formation of the Galactic Alliance. The galaxy was a very different place now, And at the heart of this change was Earth. On a warm summer day, Dr. Sarah Chen stood on a platform in New York City. Behind her loomed a massive structure, Earth's first public FTL transport terminal. Today was its grand opening. Millions watched around the world and across the galaxy as Dr. Chen prepared to speak. She took a deep breath, remembering how far they had come. A year ago, she began, we were alone in the universe. Today, we stand at the center of a new galactic community. As she spoke, scenes from the past year played on screens around her. Humans and aliens working together on massive projects. The first Earth colony on a distant world. Former enemies becoming friends. Our technology has changed the galaxy, Dr. Chen continued. But it's our spirit of cooperation that has truly made a difference. In orbit above Earth, a huge space station housed the headquarters of the Galactic Alliance. Inside, representatives from hundreds of worlds worked together. Emperor Zix, now serving as co-chair of the Alliance alongside a human leader, watched Dr. Chen's speech. His 7 eyes blinked in what his advisors had learned was a sign of emotion. They have taught us much, he said to Grakthor, who now served as his chief scientist. Perhaps more than we have taught them. Grakthor nodded, his tentacles waving gently. They reminded us of the importance of curiosity, of pushing boundaries. We had grown complacent. They woke us up. But not all was perfect in this new galaxy. In the shadows, threats still lurked. Quiznak, the rogue alien who had tried to steal Earth's technology, had escaped custody. Rumors spoke of a growing resistance, beings who feared change and wanted to return to the old ways. On a distant planet, Quiznak met with shadowy figures. The humans have upset the natural order, he hissed. We must stop them before it's too late. Little did he know, the Alliance was already aware of his plans. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, now head of a new galactic security force, was tracking his every move. Let them try, she said confidently to her team. A mix of humans and aliens. We'll be ready. Back on Earth, as Dr. Chen's speech concluded, she invited everyone to witness the terminal's first departure. A sleek ship, designed to carry passengers across the galaxy in comfort, stood ready. Today, she announced, we open the galaxy to everyone. Not just scientists and diplomats, but students, families, anyone who dreams of exploring the stars. The crowd cheered as the ship's engines hummed to life. In a flash of light, it vanished, carrying the first civilian passengers on an FTL journey. Watching from the Galactic Alliance station, the leaders of 100 worlds felt a sense of awe. This was what the humans had brought to the galaxy, not just new technology, but a new way of thinking, a new hope. As the day ended, Dr. Chen found a quiet moment alone. She looked up at the stars, remembering that day a year ago when they had seemed so distant. We did it, she whispered. We reached the stars. And we made them better. Just then, her communicator beeped. It was Dr. Tanaka. Sarah, she said urgently, we've detected something strange. A massive energy signature, like nothing we've ever seen. It's coming from outside the galaxy. Dr. Chen's heart raced. Even after all they had accomplished, the universe still held mysteries. Assemble the team, she said. Looks like our next adventure is about to begin. As she hurried to the research lab, Dr. Chen couldn't help but smile. A year ago, humanity had taken its first steps into a larger world. Now, they were ready to take a giant leap into the unknown. The galaxy had changed them, but they had changed the galaxy even more. And whatever challenges lay ahead, Earth and its allies would face them together. The story of humanity among the stars was just beginning, and it promised to be the greatest adventure of all.